Are you guys ready to do some even more advanced stuff with the gallery control and Power Apps? I know I am. Lou, how you doing? Are you ready to do some gallery stuff today?
Yes, I am.
What about you, Kurt?
Always, always, always.
Well, I'm going to bring up the notes here and I'm going to show everybody where we're at in all this. Let me see if I can fit us all on the screen. So this is actually the third Saturday in the row, right, Kurt, where we've been talking about some really cool gallery stuff. Um, so last week we did the dynamically adding of blank new rows. So this week we're definitely going to, what's that?
Did we get that solved last week?
Yeah, right at the very end, we finally did.
Okay.
It was going really long. I was getting a little bummed out, and we finally figured it out. So we left on a high note, and I see people joining us there in the chat. I see Patty. I see Rick. Rick, you really should be on here as a panelist, by the way. And Patty, you're also welcome to be on as a panelist. So anyway. So this week we're going to be doing some inline editing with the gallery, and I don't think it's going to take us long, but it's something that a lot of people want to do with a gallery. I mean, let's just throw the form to the curb, shall we, Kurt and Lou?
Please.
And maybe we'll just do all of our editing inside of a gallery. You know,
I mean, we could.
People like Excel spreadsheets. You know, like got a little grid. You know, back in our day, Kurt and VB6, we had something called a data grid. And we set it up so people could edit that stuff. So that's what we're going to do today. And I bet you that we're going to have enough time to talk about nested galleries. And I think that might be near and dear to one of our favorite students, Patty. And also Ellie. I'm expecting to see Ellie here because I know that she's working with nested galleries. Hopefully that's meeting her use case. I love all my accelerator students. I feel like I've got a little tribe, I don't know, group of people that don't live. Well, Lou actually lives probably the closest to me than anybody. But you guys are my accelerator students are all over the world. But I feel like you guys are sort of like my family. So
yeah, definitely they are.
Don't make me cry here. Okay.
So there's a couple things I want to say before we get too far off of this thing. You know, I'm just amazed at how much the gallery, how much interaction we've had with the gallery, and how much attention and popularity these gallery live streams have been. The numbers are just amazing me. So that tells us that there's a lot of, this is a pretty important topic, that this is being used. I mean, really, could you imagine Power Apps without the gallery? I mean, Lou, could you imagine it without it? Oh, Lou, by the way, guys, look, let me tell you, Lou is one of our Star Accelerator students. This programmer here has got an app that she started off, and now she's taking it to unbelievable levels. She's dealing with SQL Server now. She's automating a company's processes and doing a wonderful job on it. So I've seen her grow. I've seen her program grow, and I'm glad to see you in here on this live stream. You have a lot to offer here, so I'm excited. And so back to my first question. My first question was, what do you think? Could you imagine galleries or Power Apps without galleries, Lou?
No. I use them in probably almost every screen I have.
They are almost more important than forums, aren't they? Really? I mean, really, you know? So yeah, so this is a really good topic there, and I'm glad that we're spending a lot of time on this.
Yeah. So guys, if you're an accelerator student, come on in. Now, what I have said in the past, and I'm going to address what Patty said here. I just sort of take it like, if you don't show your video, I'm thinking to myself, maybe you don't want to be on that moment. But Patty, if you're willing to come on and talk to us as we're working on the gallery, I'll bring you on. You don't have to show your face.
Yeah. And we promise not to ask you any questions about the bouncing ball. We promise.
People have been traumatized by this bouncing ball, Kurt. Would you like to explain to our audience what the whole bouncing ball thing is about?
It's just, I can't believe it. So, you know, I just threw this in there. We have a lab in the accelerator program. And I said, you know, just as an afterthought, I'm going to go ahead and put this bouncing ball in there because I really, you know, you guys, we've talked about this before. You guys have seen Karate Kid and, you know, Mr. Miyagi and the wax on, wax off. And I kind of feel like that bouncing ball is kind of like that. You know, if you can do the muscle memory and the fundamentals of controlling a bouncing ball around the screen and make it hit the walls and hit the sides and things and make it respond to that, Well, then there's a lot of control that you have in your app that you actually can do. You got control over everything, especially like if you're doing dynamic placement of your controls, if you're doing responsive apps, that kind of stuff's so important. And so simple animation really is a great way of controlling your program. And I've said this many times. I don't want to sound like too much of a broken record, but if I can't teach anybody anything else, I want to teach people that you must be in control of your programs at all times. Don't ever luck into anything. And so this makes you have to think outside of the box and get that done. Now, interesting, I did this video as a hint to people that were struggling with that bouncing ball, So anyway.
I like it.
So Lou, did you ever get the bouncing ball done?
No, I hadn't gotten that far. You know me, I move on to my big projects and I just keep going.
Well, and that's something that a lot of the accelerator students bring too. So, we have labs that teach the fundamentals, but oftentimes they're bringing their own labs into the thing. Lou had her own lab, and as did Patty. So, but so I really appreciate you guys taking the time to try to do this because it teaches you things, So
I'm going to try out different formats here. I think 5 might be, now I can have up to 10 panelists here on Restream, but I think anything over 5, it doesn't show everyone. But I definitely want you guys on here with us and engage with us. And it's one of the benefits that you guys get as accelerator students. So I'm going to go back to this gallery over here. And so what we're going to try to do here, there is no try, only do.
And we get to make the accelerator students superstars.
Superstar. So this is the gallery that we worked with last week. And now this thing is actually based on a collection there. And this is a little different because once we save it, this is meant for like a lot of data entry and hit save, and it's going to save it to the database and then clear out the collection. So if they're trying to enter thousands of records, there's no reason or need for them to see the hundreds or thousands of records in the gallery. They just want to input the stuff. So this is going to be almost like a different use case. So I'm going to duplicate this screen and just sort of modify it a little bit. Okay, I'm going to rename this to inline editing screen. And guys, if Power Apps ever does this to you, where it's zoomed in too much or zoomed out too much, you hit Control-0, and it should give us just the right size there. Okay.
Okay. Hey, before you get going too far, you're doing it. You're going there already. Go ahead, Darren. Mm-hmm. I wanted to talk about the panelists or the comments.
Yeah. So a good project would be to make a game in Power Apps. And I want to reinforce what Kurt said a few moments ago. There were a lot of things that I was doing. We actually had a great workshop yesterday. And we were doing some fancy things with galleries. And I was making things really dynamic, sized, and positioned. And if it wasn't for Kurt's lab that he had back in 1998, 1999, where he was teaching a level 2 Visual Basic class, we actually wrote in Visual Basic, a Windows program that we could use instead of Windows Explorer. And to this day, we still have a Windows Explorer, right? A place that you can see all your drives and your files and your folders. It was actually much better, in my opinion, than the Windows Explorer. And we did all that in Visual Basic, and we dynamically created buttons with pictures on them for the different drives on your system. And I learned so much about positioning and moving stuff. You could almost make your app really responsive without using responsive containers and stuff. So that was drilled into my head back then. And this is something with the bouncing ball. Once you do the bouncing ball, there's going to be situations while you're building business apps that you're going to be able to handle, and you're sort of going to stand out. If you work at an organization where there's maybe 5 or 10 other Power Apps developers, they're going to be looking to you because you could do probably almost anything if you write a good game or two, or do this bouncing ball and work through some of the examples that we do here. We're trying to teach you in a way that not only are you going to be good at Power Apps, but you could take these skills and these mindsets and these patterns and take them to other platforms, languages,
Exactly.
What do you think about that, Kurt?
That's my goal. You spoke it very well. I mean, I almost want to cry You know, I mean, he was listening to me all those years ago. I feel like they were listening to about every third word I said, you know. But
Sometimes I feel like I can regurgitate some of your sayings better than I think you've forgotten more than sometimes of what I know about technology in general, programming stuff. But I've got so much I've got a little Kurt on my shoulder from those years of working with you.
Now Rick, he'd probably tell you that there's too much Kurt already, but I'm going to just tell you that you can't never get enough Kurt. So I'm glad there's no little Kurt on your shoulder. So let's go down these comments real quick, Darren, just to touch base with everybody.
Absolutely.
So I can't really see that. You know what? Let me try to move this so I can get to a bigger screen.
Well, I see a lot of hellos and good mornings, which I definitely appreciate, guys. Letting us know where you're from. That is really cool. Now, somebody said tree view.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know. Now, I guess what we could do, we could create like a tree view with nested galleries. I think you can only have one nest of galleries. I never tried a third level of galleries. Gee whiz.
He might have been referring to our Explorer comment when we were talking about Explorer, doing the tree view on the Explorer.
I think we actually did have a tree view control, didn't we?
Oh yeah, we did do that.
Yeah.
Very
cool.
Right.
So Jeff Ross. By the way, I'm going to announce something for you guys. Jeff and I were sort of partnering. We're taking the ticketing. You guys remember my ticketing system course? He is taking that project and building on it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug it, endorse it, and mark it. And he's going to support it. So guys, if you really like my ticketing system course I did in Power Apps, how I taught it, there's over 40 hours of instruction. It's a course that I sell, but he wanted to take it and build onto it and resell it, software as a service, right? And so just let us know. Send me an email, support@Nisus, if you want to know more about that project. It's something that Jeff and I are working on together. So I just thought I'd mention that. Is a tree view the same as a gallery? It is not. So a gallery is something that repeats a record either vertically up and down or horizontally left to right. Okay. So if I were to go up here to the top, try to insert a control, okay, and I said gallery, you'll see 6 of them. I recommend that you never use these first 3. They're trying to help you out and give you like 2 labels and an image. In my opinion, you always want to start with the blank. Okay. So you got the vertical, horizontal. If you want to know more on the basic side of things with the gallery, go to my channel, go to the live tab, and it should be just 2 weeks prior. And so this is really the 3rd video in a series about the gallery. We are thoroughly doing a deep dive, comprehensive coverage of the gallery control. So if you want to know more of the basics of what the gallery is and the types here, we go over that very thoroughly there. And a tree view is more like you could have branches, and branches could have branches, and it can go on definitely sort of like, Kurt, is that called a linked list?
Yeah, it represents a tree view is a tree or a binary tree. It represents a linked list.
Very cool. Now, Patty, is that Elvis? I'm looking at her little picture there.
Yes, it's Elvis, of course.
Of course. But Elvis is king. You know, it's so funny
Yes.
because I remember back, you know, you were talking about back in the 90s, I was in an office and I had up on the thing, but Elvis is king. And, you know, because we were only talking about that was my thing. Now we know that Data is king. Not to Patty.
Nope.
So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to go over to the data source. Let's look at what we have. We have a SharePoint list called raw data. And I'm going to click on these 3 dots called an ellipsis, and I'm going to click on edit data, and that's going to give me the SharePoint list where we've got this data at. Okay. And I just want to show it to you guys so you're aware of what's in there. Okay. Now, what I want to do over here, I really do like working with an in-memory collection. So we, for many reasons, which I'll be talking more about here in the next few minutes. So what we do here, we do a clear collect on this button at the top. Now we can put that on the screen on visible. So whenever we come to the screen, it's going to load the data up into this collection. Why working with the collection is so important is that you can call a patch function, tell it the data source, always the first parameter of the patch function is always the data source. And then the second parameter, now you'd think a patch function, well, there's 3 parameters. Well, you could just give it 2 parameters and it will still work. The second parameter could be a collection. And it's going to take that data. Now that the schema of the data source and the collection that you're trying to patch into, they should have the same schema, the same design, the same types, okay? Same column names and all that. And with inline editing, you might want to have the user edit 5 records or whatever, and then have a save button at the top, and it will call patch along with that collection, and it will be 1 round trip to the server. Okay, so when you hit that save button, it's going to reach out to that data source, say, hey, here's 5 records, go save it, and then it will come back. My friend Matthew Devaney says that it is 10 times faster. So, it's very fast. I'll just leave it at that. So perhaps that is the preferred way of patching. If you're just trying to patch 1 record, it's no big deal. But if you have a lot of them, it's great.
I mean, it makes sense. If you guys watched last week, I think it was last week, we talked about the all the different gateways and what happens every time Power Apps has to go into another and access a data source out there. I call it the persistent data source. Every time you do that, think about all those gateways and everything else you got to go through and open up and close and sockets. So when he says, it's just one trip, that's just, but if you're doing that for each record in a loop, that's every one of those is going to be another trip, at least 1 trip. Sometimes it's even more. So just based on that little demonstration we did a week, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago, I don't know, but it makes sense, right? Just to do that collection as one thing. I got to practice that a little bit more on my own. I struggle because there's certain things that it does well, and then there's certain things it doesn't, right? Like we were going over that, and maybe we need to do that in a live stream at some point too, talk about that collection. Doing it the way you're talking about, because if you're trying to update things, it works well, right? If you're needing to add a new record, it seems like it works well. But if you're trying to delete something, that's where it struggles, right? A little bit.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely. Guys, if it ever seems like I'm a little distracted as the person running the live stream, I've got things happening over here, I'm thinking what I'm going to talk about. I'm thinking about how, if I'm following the outline, if I'm not following the outline, if they're, people are sticking around and they're not sticking around. So there's a lot. So if it does seem I'm distracted, it's because I am, but I'm trying my best.
So you're saying it's because you're bored.
Right. Yeah, Saturday mornings are doing these live streams. It's a big highlight for me in the week. And Kurt says every day feels like Saturday, so I know these are really important for him. So if you guys look at what we have here, we have this button, and I'll probably get rid of this button and actually put this code in the screens on visible, so nobody has to click on a button to get the data. So we've got all this raw data. And you see how I filtered this. Why did I do this, Kurt? Why would you ever filter a data source and say false? First of all, what does that do if we just say false?
I just love this. I love it. I love this code right here. So false just means it's not going to get anything, right? If you put a filter, that second parameter of your filter function is going to be an expression that's going to have to result to true for it to perform something, right? So it's going to perform whatever is in that true section. So if you put true there, it would get everything in that data source.
Really?
And if you put false in there, it would get nothing. Right? So,
Okay.
And if you put an expression in there, like we're saying ID equals a specific ID, well, that has to result to a true in order for it to go get that ID, right? So when you say false, which is what you're doing here, it's getting no records. And you think, why would you do that? That doesn't even make any sense. Except for, I love this, and this is why I love it, because before I saw this, and I always knew that you could do that, but I never really saw it in practice until Darren did that once. And I'm like, well, that's just silly, But what's the alternative? You have to create a collection with that structure, So you go out there and collect and get it, and then you have to remove all the records out of it. So
Yeah.
that way you would have the structure. So this saves a lot. Talk about trips. You talk about trips to the server. If you're doing a remove over and over again, so this gets rid of that. And we're just wanting to capture the structure. So this is going to go ahead and create the structure. When I say the structure, that means all the fields and all the data types of those fields. They're going to be in that collection without the data, which is exactly what we want. How to initialize an empty collection with your data structures. There might be a better way of doing it, but I don't know it yet. That's the slickest way I've seen so far.
Absolutely.
And remember, people pay big money for this. And
That's
Jan,
interesting, Kurt.
and Jan up there says the schema. That's right. I come from the old days. The data structures. I'm a but the schema. That's exactly right.
Very cool. So what I'm going to do, so I changed it from false to true. Now, if I were to run this, hit the button. Okay, it gives me all the data here. Okay, I like that. What is in this field? Is there anything that should be in there? That looks a little weird. Oh, we put a GUID in there. Now, is it the same GUID every time? These two look almost identical. Now, a GUID should be unique. That's a little weird. Okay, so I think something was in there maybe when we first started off where it was doing two at once, and maybe we fixed that bug. So you guys realize if you ever have a bug in your application, sometimes bugs can cause bad data, and then you'll fix the bug so that your app doesn't do that, but the data's still out there.
Yeah.
So, Amber. So the reason, Amber, I took you off just for a moment, and I can sort of shuffle you guys around here. Amber says, so basically give it a false value, gets the fields from the data source without any data. You have a skeleton of the SharePoint data source. Did I get it correctly? Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So the most I can have on the screen at once is 5. So if you guys have anything to say, let me know in the private chat, and I'll bring you on if you're not already on. Okay, so we're going to do some inline editing here. Now, what I'm going to do, I want to work with all the data, and I want to work with this collection. And we've got this ICO new row. That ICO new row, I think, is this thing right here, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, it has an _3. There we go. It goes over here. What's in the code here? Okay. Well, it's supposed to say notify, and it creates a new record to the collection. So we should have a blank row somewhere. So if I scroll all the way to the bottom, does it give it a new GUID? Okay, so 1702, so that's today. Now the format looks a little off. 1021. It does give it a new GUID. And I think inside of our text entry control, I think we give it some type of a hint text, if I'm not mistaken. Let's actually sort this. I want the newest data to be at the top. Okay, so we're gonna do that. Yeah, let's add a sort in here. And let's do a sort from the date. So created. Okay, that's going to be the date time. And we'll say descending. And let's see what we get here. Okay, now because the new record doesn't have anything in created yet, of course, it's going to be at the bottom. But if we want, so the newest ones are going to be at the top. So how are we going to sort this in a way? So the sort function is a really simple type of function, isn't it, Kurt?
It is.
And if you want any type of complicated stuff, you need to upgrade your usage of what sort function you use. You have anything to say about that at all?
Well, I've done some research on that.
Okay, I'd like to hear that.
Like if you want to do a sort function, like if a complicated thing, like if you want to do more than one field, you would just do a nested sort, and the nested sort should bring back the thing. Now, if you want to do something with where you're changing the variables on it, or you're using a variable sort, then that sort by columns is going to really work. It'd be a good example. Maybe we could even actually try to put both of them up there and see what happens if we do one versus the other.
Yeah. So if you think of like a big list of, let's say, employees, if as Kurt would say, if you work for General Motors, you're probably working with bigger data than perhaps your mom and pop's ice cream shop on the local corner in your small town, right?
Okay.
Different types of data. So if you want to sort on 2 columns, the sort function just isn't going to cut it. So if you want to sort on last name, John Smiths in the organization, you're going to have a lot of Smiths, and you might have a lot of John Smiths. So then you want to sort on the first name, and then you might want to sort on the middle name. You can't do that with the sort function. You got to use something like sort by columns. And there's all kinds of, and Kurt just alluded to it. He says there's some dynamic things you can do, like with variables. So that maybe you've got a gallery, you got all these column headers at the top, and when you click on a header, it changes that variable. Is that where you were going with that, Kurt?
Well, that was one of them.
Okay.
But I was actually I was actually contesting the part where I think you can get the same nest if you want to sort like last name and first name.
Mm-hmm.
You can actually do a nested sort and make that work, I think.
Okay.
I think you can. Now, if you want to do that, like you were saying, when you're wanting to sort by different things and you want to keep that a variable items, like say, maybe I want to do the last name, maybe I want to do the address, maybe I want to do the city.
Yeah.
That's where you got to do the sort by columns.
Absolutely.
Now you could do the sort by columns will work either way though, as far as sort by columns or the nested sort. I think you can, pick your poison at that point.
Yeah, I like that.
I did actually, incidentally, I did a PPC video on the differences with the sort and the sort by columns functions.
PPC sounds
Now,
weird. What's a PPC?
Yeah, what is that? And you know what, Lou? Do you even know what PPC is? So we have this thing out there we decided to do called the personal pocket coaching, and it is pretty cool stuff. So what we're doing is we're saying, hey, we're gonna throw a video every day in your mailbox, a small video of some topic. Could be just about anything, and the cool thing about that is that after, and it's for a year, right? I think you do it for a year, right, Darren?
Oh yeah.
You can do it for a month or a year, whatever. But if you did this for a year, you'd have 365 videos of clean, concise, to the point stuff. So it's basically a reference. You'd be building up your reference this way. And
even on holidays, now they're what you'll see here, we'll try to do them ahead of time, so we're not actually working on Christmas Eve. But you see, here's December. We started that. We actually threw in some bonus ones if anyone wanted to see them, where we covered modern controls. We went into animations. I mean, you're gonna have 365 different videos of topics to watch. So if you like, I mean, Kurt and I, we can't. You're gonna ask us to talk. We're gonna talk between 1 and 3 hours, right? It's not for the faint of heart, right, Lou? But some people just need like a little bite size, a 5 or 10 minute video. Maybe you're sitting on the toilet, maybe you're riding in a car and it's a long car ride, and you can find out all kinds of little things, 5 to 15 minutes at a time. People really like it. I mean, look at this. There's the lookup function. UDFs.
I'm sorry. I do want to say too that sometimes if you might see that it looks like we've gone behind, we fall behind like 3 or 4 days, but then we catch up and we get it, a week's worth ahead of time. So
we get ahead, yeah.
It fluctuates, but it's going to average out to a video every day. And
they are well worth it.
Okay.
Elvis
To
has
me, it's a great idea because sometimes I just need help with one tiny thing, and I'm like, oh, I can just go right there, and there's this is what I need a refresher on.
Right. So here's the thing. You know, Darren came to me, and I don't want to digress too far off the thing because otherwise it turns into something else. But Darren came to me one time. He says, I've been running this YouTube channel for a long time, and I'm getting lots of people in it. Where these live streams but I just don't feel like I'm teaching people anything. I feel like they're just cutting and pasting my code,
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what happens a lot of times when we're out there looking for something, how to do something. We go on YouTube, and I call it the University of YouTube, and we go out there and we look for a solution. We try to cut and paste that thing to make it work in our thing. Just make it work. We're just trying to get by, trying to make it work. But the problem is we're not learning the fundamentals as to why, And so the accelerator program, I spent a lot of time talking about the why. As you guys know, Lou and Amber and Patty, you guys know, man, I can go on and on. And sometimes you're like, what the heck? Will he just get to the point, But because there's just so much information in there, right? So, but if you're wanting to find out how to do, I can't remember that function. I just need to see that function. I don't need the 45-minute spiel on why you're doing the function, Kurt. So that's what this does. It gives you that reference. So there's a balance between the two, because I really don't want anything to be a cut and paste type thing, man. Because I want people to be empowered by programming. I want people to know why they're putting these things in. Why do I put that button in there? Why am I using this formula versus that formula? I want people to know. I don't want people just to cut and paste. Oh, it worked for that person, but it didn't work for me. So anyway, that's why I love this PPC. It's a great go between those two places.
Yeah, and Amber said, no, Darren, I don't cut and paste. I learned so much from your videos. Thank you, Amber. Amber's one of my favorite students, and you might catch on. All of you are my favorite students. I love you all. But yeah, while you were talking there, Kurt, you said, sometimes you talk about your references. You need a good reference library. Back in our day, we had like 12 or 20 books sitting on our desk about the technology we were using. Now we can just go to the school and type in something like lookup and look at all these materials that you can learn the lookup for, and there's a second page. Here's some more. Your app, a DBMS. What's up with that, Kurt?
Yeah, that was one of my PPCs. And I guess I just wanted to put the period and get it back to where you were at. I have a video on the difference between the sort by and the sort by columns. So that's in the PPC. So
I like it.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Rick, I don't know who this Rick guy is. I love you, man. All right, man. He seems like a stalker. No. Rick's one of my guys. What else we got here? We got okay, let's and Mark says, wow, that is slick. So I think Mark, you might have been talking about the sort by columns. Yeah, it's much more flexible than the regular sort. Yeah, Tony says, confirmed a suspicion I had. I think maybe I learned that and I've forgotten it, but you can't do 3 levels of galleries. So I'm hoping to eventually get to the nested gallery. So you can only do 2 levels. So that sort of keeps you from doing a tree view, because a tree can just go on and on and on and break off on more and more branches or twigs and leaves. So Daniel asks, do you prefer a SharePoint list as a location for data or Dataverse? My personal preference is neither. I prefer big boy SQL Server. Now, I think that's my opinion. Now, probably the best data source for a Power Platform is always going to be Dataverse, okay? Because Microsoft has created and designed it for the Power Platform. SharePoint, on the other hand, has been out for over 20 years, was not designed for the Power Platform. It still works great, but
it wasn't even designed to be a database.
Right.
It was just supposed to be something where you could do your grocery list or have a list of tasks or whatever,
Yeah. You know what? SharePoint is tons better than using an Excel spreadsheet.
Tons.
Kurt, do you have any idea what are the amount of people that actually use SharePoint? You think that's a pretty low amount of people using SharePoint on the Power Platform for a data source?
Yeah, I've heard this at least 1,000 times. 70% of Darren's businesses that he deals with use SharePoint. based on a
Yeah.
poll that he did. And I only say that because he forgets that he tells me this sometimes. I remember one time I said, Darren, you realize that's about the 12th time you told me that.
Going senile. Going senile, Kurt.
That's so great.
And Patty says, I work miracles with my SharePoint lists.
And you know what? I've really grown to like SharePoint a lot more. When I first started messing with SharePoint as a data source, I said, this is crazy, but I'm telling you, I kind of like it. It's okay. You know why? You know what the best thing about SharePoint is? It's free. It's free. So it's already out there, so that's what's so great.
No
about it.
additional charge, right?
No, right. It comes along with the stuff, right? So it's usually out there. If you're a Microsoft shop, you've already got it. You don't have to worry about it. And there's a lot of things you can do with it. Now there's a lot of problems in there that you got to be careful of. But if you're just wanting to do something simple, a simple app that's not doing a whole lot of going to the tables all the time, and you ain't worried about security too much, SharePoint's not bad, But if you want to do anything slick, you need to go to Dataverse. And then if you want something that's really robust and at a corporate level, it might be good to behoove you to go to SQL Server,
Behoove you.
And the cool thing I like about it, the cool thing I like about Power Apps is it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're doing SharePoint or Dataverse or SQL Server. Once you have that data backend set up, it's almost seamless. When you're doing a lookup function works just as well in SharePoint as it does in SQL Server. Once you get everything set up right, that's what I like about Power Apps. It just doesn't matter. I've dealt with some C# stuff and some .NET. For this data source, you got to jump through these hoops. For that data source, you got to go over there to GitHub and get this firmware. You got so many things you got to deal with. You don't have to do that in Power Apps. That's what makes it so nice,
Good question from Tony. Is there a way to send a table to a collection, make edits, and then patch back to, say, a SQL Server without using a for all? Absolutely. That's what we're going to do today.
Yeah. Yep.
That's what makes it so powerful. Yeah, back Jen said, answered that. It seems to like a good, quick bootstrap. Yeah. Good deal. Okay. So let's get back to this. Now, did I achieve what I wanted to do with my sort? So if I scroll up to the top and what I want to be able to do is edit these things. And this is a label. Pretty much what we want to do is make some of these. And I made these little, for the labels or the text entries to have a border to make it almost look like an Excel spreadsheet. Okay. So you can do inline editing. So here's the GUID. I'm going to take this text input. I'm going to copy and paste it. There we go. And for this one, let's allow them to modify. Now the default is the GUID. My GUID. Okay. And let's only look at the rows that actually have some GUID data. Okay, well, this should be easy. If we go look at our data that brings it in, instead of saying true, let's go look at my GUID, and we could do not is blank. Okay. Now, I use the bang operator, and now we've got a delegation issue. Everyone has left me, guys. Look at this. Look at this. Kurt's gone. Lou's gone. I don't see Patty. Does anybody love me?
I'm still here.
Okay, I'm keeping you on, Patty.
Okay.
Okay,
Oh,
Lou came back.
There she goes.
I'm taking Kurt off.
I was still listening.
Okay. I got abandonment issues here. Okay, so I'm not serious, of course. I'm just trying to have fun. Rick still loves me. Well, why aren't you on here as the panelist, Rick? I don't know. Rick, I sort of need you to have a backup dad joke for me. There are times when I do need a good dad joke. By the way, guys, I keep all my dad jokes in a base. Oh, you've already heard that one. Okay. So we got a bang operator to say not. Now, what if I say not here? I still have a delegation problem. Okay. So sometimes I do things like, why'd you do it that way, Darren? Why don't you do the is blank? You know, so if I left it as this, look, I've got a delegation problem. Well, what if we do a length? Does that get rid of the issue? And we'll say over 0. Okay. That's not helping us out. So how can we write this so we have no delegation issues at all? Any ideas, guys? One thing, what about a starts with? We do a starts with, and then say something like empty string. But that still might give us everything. So let's just try this out. Okay. Icon just selected. Okay. So it added that new record at the bottom. Now, if we look at this, open up this collection, see what we got back here. I forgive you, Kurt, for leaving me.
I saw the delegation and I had to leave. The delegation issue. I couldn't stand it.
I do see Joshua on here. Welcome, Josh. Okay. So do we have any rows with blank GUIDs? And we do. Okay. So Kurt, I'm sort of wrestling with how we get the data.
Okay.
I only want data where there is a GUID in the field, my GUID. And I started doing the starts with, and well, it still gave me everything because even a GUID starts with an empty string, right? Then it's got some characters right after the empty string.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure out how to bring back stuff that actually has GUIDs without having a delegation problem. Do you have any suggestions for me here?
And you
Let's put our
couldn't use
brains
not,
together.
you couldn't use not inside your filter and it didn't work. What about not
Well, we get a delegation issue.
with the not?
Mhm. So, for example, if I said, would you say is blank and then
Yeah.
say not?
You could, yep. Now, could you say is blank? No.
So we got that
That
the delegation issue on that, because in order to apply that bang operator, it's got to go get all the data so it can actually do that.
What about the length? Can we test the length equal greater than 0?
That. Yeah,
And it's still delegation on that too.
Yeah. So if I say length is greater than 0, I'm sure it will work. But again, we have delegation issues.
Okay, so we got delegation.
There we go. Jan's got it. Boom. Okay. Let's do this. I love it when a plan comes together. Uh-oh.
Still delegating.
Yeah, is blank is not delegable. So Jan, I'm saying my GUID is other than an empty string. Now, these delegation issues, they can be different from data source to data source. And we are in fact using SharePoint, which most people use anyway. Okay. So that doesn't seem like it's going to work either.
Now, the other situation is if you're sure you're not going to go through that 2000 limit, then you really don't care, right? So if you're doing an inline editing table, how likely are you to do that? That's the other question.
That's true. Yeah. Sometimes you ask your question like, what's the practicality of this? Are we working with more than 2000, that type of thing? My bet you should use equals. Well, that would give me the records that I don't want. So if I said not, then it's going to give me the it says incompatible types. Boolean. Okay, so if I were to do something like this, again, we have the delegation. Okay. And I didn't necessarily want to make this video all about
So-
delegation, but these are the things
Well-
that you encounter as you're building apps, right?
Okay, so then perhaps there's another thing you could do where I don't know. So now I'm tempted to go into doing some add columns and having a Boolean variable over there, whether or not it's been input or not, whether or not something's. Now I don't know if that's going to encounter that trying to load that in, but if you do an add columns and have a Boolean set
Mm-hmm.
somewhere in your flag, so you could have a load. Maybe you could have a load field to says if this is true, load it in. You know, so set that up in your filter.
Yeah. So in order to, so we could use add columns. We'll have a column there. We can do our own expression by which we can filter by, but won't it need to get at all the records to actually populate that column to know if we want to filter it further? And I believe the answer is yes.
Can you use first, Darren?
I'm sure we could. The first function will just give us the first record, though.
The first
Here's
record.
the
Okay.
answer. I got the answer, Darren.
What you got, Kurt?
Load the
Double
whole thing
snatcher.
load the whole thing into a collection and filter the collection.
Well, this is a collection.
But you're taking it from raw data. So load raw data, all of raw data into a collection and then filter that collection. So in other words, do all of your access from that so that way you beat your delegation.
To load it all into memory, right?
Yep. And now you're not dealing with the data source.
Right. So this clear collect, that's essentially what we're doing here. So now what people do with delegation is sometimes, I don't really like doing this, but let's say we got 4,000 records and we want all of them. Why would you ever want to have 4,000 records to display on a screen is beyond me, but maybe, so you could say, you can look at the IDs. Okay. Give me all the records that have an ID less than 2,000. You might have 2,000 records or less than 2,000, maybe some were deleted. And then you could say, give me data from this to this, you know? Yeah. Hey, Karen, nice to have you on here.
Yeah, so I guess I'm kind of hung up because we're not really doing the same thing that I'm talking about. So we are loading everything into a collection, but I'm saying load it into a holding collection and then do that filter from that collection.
Okay. Yeah, let's do that. Clear collect.
Will that work? That's what I want to know.
Okay, so we've got, let's call it a holding collection. Okay. And then what you want to do is you want to do a filter like we have here.
No, I just want to do raw data.
Okay.
Or not your call, the actual raw data, that raw data.
That's what I meant to do. There we go.
Oh, okay. There you go. And then now we go in here to this clear collect and we do, and you filter from call holding.
Okay.
Does that beat our delegation, you think?
Well, we don't get any delegation warnings, but if this raw data has 5,000 records, it's getting truncated after the 2,000 records.
Right. I guess I'm putting here this with the assumption that we're not going to have 2,000, but okay. So
in that case, I would probably stick with this and just ignore the delegation warning.
I thought that's what we were talking about originally, is, just to get rid of the warning, but yeah, you would just ignore it. Right.
Yeah. So, so here, not GWT. So this should give us exactly what we want. And then, it is true. I didn't want to make it all about delegation, but that's something that I want to circle back. Maybe we could have a whole session on delegation and we delve into all different types of delegation issues, working with all the different data sources. I'm going to click on this button and we're going to get some good data here. Okay. And so I'm going to click on the button here and I'm going to click on raw data. I'm going to move this up a little bit and look at the data here. I'm going to have to zoom out a little bit. 200 is a bit too big. 150 is probably about right. And I'm going to go look for the GUID here. For some reason, I can't find it. I know it's in there, but yeah, it should be called My GUID. So there it is. And if I filter by that and say, there's all the empty ones. So we should have, I'm looking for a count here. Do you guys see a count? Looks like, I don't know, maybe 10 or 15. So that's what I'm expecting. So we get that collection there, say not equals that. You know what I bet is if we said is blank, that might give us exactly what we're looking for there. Okay, there we go. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this icon, and I don't want to see that that notify anymore. That gets annoying. All right, I'm going to save. I'm going to run. Okay, so now we can actually change this. So I see two records here. They're the same one, and I'm going to change this up and say XX or XY. Okay. Now, when I hit the save button, I want it to save everything that has changed. Okay. And so the save button does do a for all. Now this is left over from, we were doing something quite different last week. Okay. So I'm going to switch this up quite a bit. In fact, I'm going to rip it all out. And what I'm going to do here, the data source is called raw data. So in the save, I should be able to say patch raw data, comma, there's our collection. So I am, say, ZZ at the end. I'm going to hit, see where it says XY there? Okay. We need to get rid of labels, and we want to make sure everything is a text box and not a label. But the thing is, the label is going to show us the data in the database. And as we change it here, we can see if it's different or not. Okay, so this is sort of a cool thing. Okay, so this is 46A. So that actually is the same. But if we go in here and change it, these last four, and say A, okay, what we could do, this is something cool to do, guys, with the gallery, to communicate back to the user, like, hey, we got some unsaved rows here. Okay, so if I click on my my gallery, and let's go find template fill. And what we can do, we have a label here called label GUID 1, and then a TXT title 2. Okay, I'm going to click back on the gallery. I'm going to go into template fill. And I'm going to say if Windows, the Windows key on the keyboard, V for paste, and I've got everything I've got in my clipboard going back. So there's my label dot text. If this is the same as Windows V, the text box dot text, If those are the same, then I want to treat it just like it's normal. Okay. So, and it's going to be white or yellow based on if it's selected. Now, if those things are different, then I want to do something like color.peak. It's not quite red. It would be a little annoying if it was pure red. But look at this. I can go in here and just change this up. AA, BB. Now, it's funny is when I moved off of it, it changed. Kurt, last week, did we do anything fancy on this gallery to save it automatically?
We were doing a lot of stuff in there messing with that. So
okay. Let's look at, we've got a gallery on select, and that's this.
I think when we went off the roll, when it changed on the on change, I think we did some kind of patchwork in there. Let's check. If I remember right.
So we do have this guy over here. So this is a title. And on the on select, we did a select parent. On change, we did a patch.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to do any patches here. So I'm going to comment this code out. I want this little save button at the top to take care of all that.
Okay.
So let's see if we can fix this up. AA, BB. Okay. Okay. So there's a default value here. And it's looking at the underlying data. I need to make sure there's nothing patching this. On change, on select. And there's a patch there. That's what's going on. Okay. So now you can see we have 3 records that need to be saved. Now this button here that I'm about to click on is going to update the data source. So you click on it. What's it doing? Look at how simple this code is here. We have 2 parameters. Typically, you've got 3 parameters on a patch. I'm going to say, hey, here's the data source. Update that data source with this collection. Now, what's going to happen is it's going to give SharePoint this collection. Say, hey, update that. What SharePoint's going to do is actually going to delegate it over, and it's like, hey, I'm gonna update you. Has anything changed on this row? No. Has anything changed? Yeah, this has been. So it's not going to really update everything. If it's the same, it's not even try to edit it. So that's sort of a cool thing. So what do you guys think of that? Is that anybody impressed by how you're able to do that? Because I know up above somebody was saying, you mean we don't have to use a for all? Yeah.
Right. Now there are some caveats, right? So it seems like we went through this, and I get confused in this all the time. I would just want to make sure I've got it clear in my head, Darren.
Well, I tell you what, Kurt, if you're confused, I know somebody else is confused. So let's break it down.
Well, okay. So in this case where we're just doing simple edits, that's going to work great because you're just basically updating what's already there. But if you're adding records, now adding records, it seems like it handled that pretty good. But if you're deleting records, it's not going to handle that very well. Am I right on that?
That is true. That is true. So if you try to do a patch like this, and let's say we did a remove. So there is no delete function within PowerApps, but there is a remove, which essentially deletes stuff. We try to delete records out of our collection, and those records are actually in the SharePoint data source. And then you go do the patch. That is the drawback to this. It's not going to, because what it's doing is matching up IDs. And if you delete something out of the collection, it is gone out of that collection. That collection doesn't keep track of, oh, there's a phantom one here that was deleted. Nope. So that
But it-
that's a very good point.
But it does handle the ads. So if we added a bunch of records in there, it would put those extra records in there, right? It says, oh, well, these records weren't found in there. We're going to go ahead and put them in there, right?
It would, yeah.
But we can't delete.
So it handles ads or inserts really well, and it also handles edits well.
Okay.
So we got 3 out of the 4. I mean, obviously we read the data in. We got CRUD, which are the 4 operations, right?
Yeah.
Kurt always told me, if you can read a record, write a record, process a record, you could work beside me. So this is good stuff to learn, guys.
So I have a small question here. So, because I am dealing with a situation, if I have a set of data, and I mean, you can have it on Excel, SharePoint, whatever, and I actually want to put it into like my SQL Server table on another table, can you do that same scenario, but just not go back to the original one? Just or does it have to be a for all as well, just to, from one table to another table?
Kurt, did you sometimes I'm going to let everyone know my brain works differently. Sometimes I'm not understanding. Kurt.
Okay, so if you put it all in you put your raw data into a collection from your SharePoint, and you actually wanted to patch then all that data to another table in SQL Server.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that would work.
Doing it that way, or would you have to do it for all?
Oh,
it will work. The schema needs to be exactly the same. If the schema is different, especially that primary key, that's what it uses. So yeah, that could actually work just great. Just make sure the scheme is the same.
And I was trying to look at the comments when you were going through that. And Dave Savage asked, will this act the same for Dataverses or SQL as data sources? So that kind of answered your question to that, right? Yep.
This is a great way of, like, let's say you're moving from one data source to another. Load all your data up into a collection, and a collection can go over 2,000.
And boy, Jan just brought up something, and this goes right into our wheelhouse of why we don't ever delete records, Darren. I don't like deleting records out of tables unless I absolutely have to. Okay. I like to just mark them for deletion, and then somewhere down the road, 20 years from now, they can do a purge if they need to. But I don't like deleting them.
Or have a Power Automate flow so we could have a column called delete me.
Sure.
And it's a Boolean. Okay. True, false. Yes, no.
Inactive.
Yeah. And what we could do is we could do an update. It's like, okay, you want to delete these 3? We're just going to change that field to say delete me to yes. You got a Power Automate flow that once every few moments, every 5 minutes, it's going to go out there and look for any records of that, and it's just going to delete them. And now on the application side, on the front end, you don't have to worry about it.
Now, back in the old days when they had real RDBMSs, not these fake ones like they got now with SQL Server and all that. When they had DBase going on out there, you could delete things, and then you had a pack. You actually had a pack statement that would actually pack your database tables with all those deletions. All for the old days, right? All for the old days.
Nostalgia is a wonderful drug.
I remember that.
You remember that, Patty?
I do.
You had to make sure you packed your databases.
Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Now, I bet you SQL Server has some kind of an equivalent of pack out there. They probably do.
Yeah, I haven't worked on SQL Server in a long time, very long time.
So, but yeah, so that's exactly right. So if you just marked it for deletion, like let's say you got a trash can over there, and in your trash can, you just basically just marked that, set that field to true or is deleted field to true, then you could just go ahead and still do that that patch the same way, Darren. That would work the same way as Jan was trying to say up there. He said it. Jan originated. I just made it profound. That's what happened.
Okay, so Joshua said, could you set that on date time for the deleting record? Say 2 years for absolutely.
Sure.
Absolutely. You want to check with your legal department and determine what is your record retention policy. And that's probably set by law. And maybe your company has a policy like, well, we go back farther, even more 2 years, just in case the laws change, that we're still covered, but
good stuff.
So let's do some inline editing here, and I sort of want to use a better example. Let's do some stuff like instead of Gwiz. That's not a very good use case. I almost want to do something fresh and new. Let me go find a good data source that we could use real quick here. Let's see. We got bookmarks. We got currency lists. You know what? Why don't we try to use Dataverse? Let's see here. Because I feel like we have some leftover stuff from last week that doesn't apply to this week, and I'm going to go in here. I'm going to create an app. And dare I create an app that will make everyone cringe? And I think I might do it just for the cringe factor. I want to keep track of all my wonderful dad jokes.
Yeah, that is a cringe factor. You're right.
Here we go, guys. Get ready for some fun.
I used to like dad jokes until Darren started telling us dad jokes.
And we got a rating here. Okay. You know what I want to do?
A rating.
Yeah, look at that. Now, I don't like the decimals in the rating because I might want to use a rating control in there, and we could have like 5 stars. I don't really want to do like half. I don't know. Can a rating control work with like a half of a star? Maybe we should leave that decimal and answer that question.
Sure, you can. You do have stars. Just check Amazon. Check Amazon.
Amazon does it. Yeah. Give me 20 more dad jokes in there. Let's see what it can do. Back when I was trying to create sample data with this tool here, it would only do 20 at least at a time. It's working on it.
Did you just see what Rick did to us?
What'd he do?
Which days are the strongest? Saturday and Sunday. The rest are weekdays. Oh my goodness.
We're gonna have to add that.
He probably had that from his friend Chatty. Probably gave him that one.
The other day I was watching one of your videos and the dad joke thing came up, and I've got my headphones on. Dave's sitting over there, and I'm like going, and all of a sudden I turn to him and I start telling him these, and he's just like, "Oh goodness, because he can't hear you."
Right. He goes, "So this is what you guys do on those group calls." Yeah, we're learning a lot of dad jokes. We're learning.
I especially like the toad one. No, I'm sorry, the frog one. Parallel parking.
What is that on the screen?
No. So there was one that I think Kurt said the other day is like, what happens when a frog parallel parks? He gets towed away.
Oh no, that wasn't me. That was terrible. I say good things. Mine are good. No, I'm teasing. Yeah.
More. Let's see if it gives me more.
I thought, telling everybody that chickens can fly, but they don't. I thought that was the good one. That's my favorite one. Yeah.
Because they're chicken?
Yeah, chickens can fly, they just don't because they're chicken.
All right. I'm going to create the app here so we can start having some fun with this. And I want to do inline editing with you guys. So we're going to go from SharePoint to Dataverse, which is essentially a SQL server with a bunch of features added onto it. And then, is it going to give me a phone app? What's going on here?
It's going to be handy dandy. You pull it out of on your phone and say your dad jokes.
Pocket dad jokes.
Pocket dad.
Hold on, I got something for you. For the price of a cup of coffee. A cup of coffee.
Yeah.
You can recover Kurt from his. You can recover him from his. Oh, he's back.
Who's got the power, Darren? Who's got the power? I got the power.
Whoa, where did
Stop.
that come from, Kurt? That was you change your clothes real quick and put on sunglasses. That was a little weird. All right, let's see.
You know what the craziest thing about this? It never gets old for him. It never gets old.
It never gets old.
Never gets old.
Never gets old. Phew. Blank vertical gallery. Sounds great. Dad jokes. Here we go. Here we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add on text edits for these.
We have seriously digressed here.
I'm trying to get us back.
Okay.
All right. So I am going to go into template fill and I'm going to change. Oh no. Have you guys ever seen Power Apps do this to you before? You're trying to set something and there's just grayness there. I'm going to hit save on this because it makes me feel like it's about to crash on me, maybe. So it named my
It's been
app.
happening quite a bit here lately.
Yeah, Microsoft's in there just trying to tweak and to fix and make things better. And sometimes it feels like you're working on a alpha or a beta
Yes.
thing, right? So yeah, in these cases, what I do is I just go back to, I'm going to leave. And I've got, hopefully dad jokes show up at the very top so we don't lose
There we are.
anything. And by the end of this, we're going to get to nested galleries. So just hold on. We're going to get there. I just want you guys to come up with some ideas of a nest. Maybe we could have a gallery that says, hey, here's all these categories. And then within that, boom, here's all the dad jokes for those categories. What type of categories of dad jokes we have? I don't know. Maybe we could group them by the rating, maybe.
Ah, there you go. So that way, if you wanted to, I like that.
If you only want to see the best of the best dad jokes, you start at the top and go down. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is I'm clicked on the gallery. Now I see this weird grayed out thing, and that concerns me yet again. So if I go down to template fill, it's not going to allow me to do it.
So what you could do, I just came up with a pretty good use case. So you could have one data table being the dad jokes and another data table being judges. So you can have these different judges of these dad jokes. And each judge, so you can have Darren, Kurt, Lou, Patty, Karen, David, all these people be judges. And then you can and that could be going across the line, and you can put numbers in, 1 through 5. And then you could do an average of what the judges did and have that totaled it up at the on the left side.
And that becomes the real rating.
That becomes the real rating. Yeah. Let's do it.
That.
Let's do it.
Kurt, not all your ideas are good, but man, when you have a good idea, it's really good.
So then you could you're scrolling across with the different names. So you can have
yeah,
names going across, right?
Absolutely.
There we have it.
I'm a little sad. I think we lost Amber there on the side. Well, so this is where I almost need to find a different platform because I can only have 5 panelists on at a time. And I'm always going to give priority to those that show their face because it's more engaging on a video type of channel. But maybe he's still here with us. Okay. So I'm hoping that this works now. Looks like it's going to work. Template fill. Okay. Now we can change template fill. So it did it to me twice, and I had to bring it up a third time. Isn't that funny? So color.white. Go. And if I go look at the data, let's go. Oh, we got space. The Final Frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise. Okay. I'm going to go into the database tables. I'm going to go find my dad jokes. Incidentally, there is a space in dad jokes. May or may not be good there. So we got joke and punchline. So those are the two things I want to see. Joke this item. Okay. Dot joke. And I almost want to hide the punchline until it's time to reveal it.
Mhm.
I think that would be a good thing to do for a dad joke.
Yeah, you could either do a timing on it, you could do a timer on it, or you could do a click on it for the answer, right?
Okay.
Click on it and have a little pop-up box come up with the answer, maybe.
Yeah.
Kurt loves his pop-up boxes.
I do love my pop-up boxes.
Let's do two. Let's give it a nice gray color like we have. And you know what I should be doing, guys? I should be giving it text inputs here. Because we might want to, maybe we find a really bad dad joke and we upgrade it, make it better. Maybe we'll say, hey, ChatGPT, here's a dad joke that's really awful. Rewrite it to make it awesome. Maybe.
Or you could just delete it.
Well, Kurt, I'm trying to show people how to do inline editing.
Okay. I forget.
Back to task.
It's okay, Kurt. When I was a child growing up, we were so poor, we couldn't pay attention.
Well, what's funny is I started this whole thing as a child growing up, and as I'm going out of life, I feel like I'm a child growing up.
I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up, and I'm almost 50. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Hope nobody's rolling their eyes. Hopefully everybody's enjoying this and
that's
having
all right.
fun with it.
People done past the rolling eye stage there a long time ago.
I'm in the same boat with you, Darren. Totally in the same boat.
Okay. So now we could theoretically change this.
That could have been a good one.
It
It could have been. Oh, now
It probably was the best one, Lou.
Yeah. So I'm gonna need to do a reset here. We actually did this yesterday in the in our workshop. What did we do yesterday in our workshop, Kurt? Because we're gonna make that available eventually for people if they missed out on it and still wanted to get in on that workshop. What was our topic that we did?
Oh, we did a decision tree.
Oh, that was awesome. Yeah. And perhaps we want to reset controls. Okay. So I've got this little reset icon. So somebody clicks on this on the on select. What I want to do is an update context. Okay. I'll do parentheses. I'll do curly brace. So I'm going to say LOC reset all controls. And I'm going to set that to true. A better thing to do would be just to reverse it, whatever it was. And we'll do the Bing operator to accomplish that. And I believe we got to do it again, if I'm not mistaken. So if I use this little variable here, I go into a control. Good controls will have a property called reset. Okay. You start messing with those modern controls, trying to be all popular, be with the popular kids, you're not going to have that property. Okay. And I'm hoping that they put it in there. So this is a normal control, hopefully, and I go find the reset property and I set that to be that variable. Okay. I'm going to save. I'm going to run. I'm going to click on this reset. There we go. Why did the bicycle fall over? So now we have a way to, if we start editing it and we want to reset, we can just click on that and then we'll be good. So what I want to do here, I'm going to copy and paste this text. I'll put it here. And I think I might want to make this a little bigger, maybe.
How about if we made that a little slicker, Darren?
How would we make it slicker?
How about if we put that little reset button on when you start editing it, make that thing visible on the line that you're in. So that way you could just reset in that line.
I guess.
You see what I'm talking about?
You mean reset just that one?
Is just that one line. Yeah, you're going to reset just that line, and it would only be visible for that line, right?
Well, Kurt,
Let's do it. Let's do it, Darren. Let's do it. This is what we do all the time. We always challenge it. Let's make this thing do this. Let's make it do
I
that.
want this thing because I don't like it to be all like cluttered if it's on every single row. So a lot of times what I'll do, what do I normally do, Kurt?
Well, we're only going to make. We should make it only visible on that row, but we should also only make it visible if they're editing.
Oh,
You're stepping it up here.
Mhm.
Okay, so I'm going to say this is selected. So if the record is selected, and only if we're editing it, okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to be looking for. Oh my goodness, Kurt! Now you're making me like really think really hard here.
It's just a little Boolean check, right?
Well, what's going to hold the Boolean? We need to add a column now, don't we?
Or a variable. Or
Tell
a
me how
variable.
you would do the variable.
Okay, so you would set it in the when you go into the on select, right?
Of?
You do that, of the text input box, right?
Well, which one? We could edit the question and the answer.
It'd be this item. Oh, yeah, right. Well, either one, right? It's either one that you want. So you'd put it in both of those. You'd put them in both of those. You'd put a local variable in both of those, right?
You're gonna put a variable for both of them. So we got two variables per row, right? So how am I going to create two variables per row?
You put one variable per row of this item,
So how would I go about that?
Well, I don't know. I'm up here just throwing ideas. I haven't thought about it yet. We got to think it out here. We
can create variables. We can create variables all day long. But if you want a variable for every row, then we could have 5 rows. We got 500 rows.
No,
You have to create 500, or
it's not that hard. I don't think. I think you just need one variable. I think you would do it.
And I agree with you. It's not that hard. And how I would go about doing that, how I'd go about creating a variable for each row, is you're the one who got me going on with this add column thing. Add columns. We're going to add a column to dad jokes. And we're going to say, now you're really familiar with you probably know this better because Kurt, you did an amazing job with your module 3 on your practical labs and assignments. You have done amazing work on the collection module. What is the second parameter here? How do I add a column here?
Just go ahead and put a double quote there.
Okay.
And put in some kind of column name in there. And then you would hit comma and then put false because you probably want that just to be whatever your formula is. But then in this case, you're just going to put false there, right?
Yeah, false for now.
There you have it. Yeah, and you're doing this a little bit different than I would. So this is kind of cool too. I like where you're going with it.
Yeah, so what we would do, so we've got 2 text boxes, text inputs, okay? And both of these have an on change. So how are we going to change the column for the being is edited? We could probably do, I don't know. I know I can use a patch. Dad jokes. We're going to patch dad jokes.
Yeah.
And we're going to say edited. What did I call that thing?
is edited.
Is being edited.
So I wonder if it'll allow me to do that. It's this item.
Yeah, there you go. Oh,
but of course we need to do curly braces.
Mm-hmm.
And we set that up to be true. Does that work?
No.
Why doesn't it work?
I don't know.
Let's see what the red squigglies tell us. The specified column is being does not exist.
You got to probably run it first. It probably doesn't see it yet, right? Maybe.
Yeah. What I think I would like to do, I like to work with collections, not the real data. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that out.
Yep.
And for this screen, on visible, I'm going to create a dad joke collection. Okay. So I'm going to say clear collect. Boom.
And then that.
All dad jokes. And now I don't have to put little apostrophes before and after because there's a space in dad jokes, right?
Nice.
So we've got this.
Nice.
There's our data source along with our extra little column we created.
That's the way to do it right there, Darren.
You like that?
Yep. And
Now-
that's the reason why I like calling you Scooter. Because you get her done.
I'm going to click on a different screen, and then I'm going to come back to the screen, and it's going to fire that code. That's going to invoke the code. Okay. So now we're good. Now for this gallery here, we're going to say COL dad jokes. Okay. Now we're getting there. So whenever these text boxes change, we are going to, it's looking for the column there. Okay. It still says it doesn't exist. Well,
Because it's not in
we
dad
need to
jokes,
be
it's in the
matching-
collection.
Yeah, we need to be patching the collection. Okay.
There we have it. There we have it.
Now, what we do here on this guy is number one is selected and is being edited.
I like it.
You like that?
Let's see if it works.
Now, something I always like to do for the template fill, I like to know what's selected, what's being edited, all that type of stuff. So like if
Absolutely.
this item dot is selected, is
I know.
selected, then we want light yellow. Well, we have to say color dot light yellow now. Oh, come on.
You know, I like the old IntelliSense and it better for navigating, but I kind of like what this does, the information this one gives you. And I just wish that they could kind of combine the two.
That
Maybe
is
I-
different.
Maybe I just don't know how to use it. Yeah, maybe I'm just not knowing how to use it right yet.
I'm still
like
not
the-
used to it.
They like change it on us. Sometimes it's a tab, sometimes it's an enter to pick your whichever is selected.
And every time I get mad at it, I'm trying to be careful not to complain because otherwise they're going to mess my teams up again because Microsoft's listening to me. And so they're going to say, oh, you complained about us, or I'm going to mess your teams up.
Yeah, your teams does not like you, Kurt. So, guys, I went up there after Christmas, or I was banging on his door as a surprise. Christmas Day, wasn't it, Kurt? And I'm like, let's figure out your teams. I go in there, I could not figure it out. I'm like, well,
Yeah, because he goes,
Between you and
Kurt, you're such a noob. You're such a noob. You don't know anything about this stuff. Let me go over there and figure it out for you, Kurt, because I got to do everything. And then he couldn't do it. He couldn't do it either. So there you go. Ah.
All right, so I'm going to make it pink if it's being edited. Otherwise, allow that. I've got things messed up. I always got to indent things.
Yeah.
Oh, it's got the color dot white down there.
I gotta be right back. I gotta check on something. We have a little
Okay.
baby. We have a little baby puppy in here, and if it's
Would you mind bringing the puppy over here?
Yeah.
It will actually increase my ratings of the show.
yeah, if it's quiet, it's either sleeping or it's in something. I gotta make sure it's not in something.
Just like a toddler. Just like
Yeah.
a toddler.
Yes.
All right, so you can tell that this row is selected. Now, if I go in here and start changing it, it's not making it. Okay, now it is pink.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. And then for these text boxes, what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the fill for this. So I need to go into fill. And I'm going to change that little 1 to a 0, which makes it transparent. Okay, here we go.
It's going to work great for my depositing app that I've built for because that way they can go in and change the amount. If they didn't give them that much, they can literally
Mhm.
change it and update it and let me know how much they've given. So I like it.
Very good. Okay.
Oh, here we go. Looky here, baby. Look,
Uh-oh, we have
can
puppy.
see her? Can we see her? Look at the baby. She's so, oh, she
Hold on,
says
hold
I'm
on.
so good. Yeah, she's just a good girl.
Hold on. I'm
Okay.
trying to.
All right.
I might need. There we
Oh.
go. There we go.
That's a pretty girl. She's just a
So
pretty
I'm gonna
girl.
hide.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, we're gonna hide everything here. There we go. There we go. She's so tired. Usually she's climbing all over me. Yeah. She's tired. Oh, she wants down. Okay. Camera shy. Camera shy.
Right.
Patty, I love your photo on your thing. I love Elvis too.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Ah.
Another fan, Kurt.
Yep. Yep. Okay. Darren says, can we get onto this thing now? Come on.
I think I've watched that new movie like 4 times already.
Oh, I bought it.
What movie is that?
The new Elvis movie.
The Elvis movie.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Hey, I saw a TikTok today. It says supposedly there's some guy that looks like he had to fake his death in order to avoid the mob, and that he's really alive, and he pastors a church and he sings all the time. He's a great singer.
Mhm.
I don't know. I'm not saying it's true. I'm just saying, I don't know. Okay.
I'll go with the aliens took him.
All right. So what I want to do is I want to show the answer. Okay. So I'm going to put a button in here, I think. That almost looks like a modern button, but hey, I'm going to go with it. And I'm only going to show this thing if this item is selected. And you can double click a button and you can just type. Show punch. Now, is punchline 1 word or 2 words? Does anybody know?
I don't know. We don't have our English guy major on here today.
Yeah. Where's Jeff where we need him? Yeah. He abandoned us. I think I'm gonna go with 8 there. Okay.
I always look to Dave because he majored and he did English too. So
Okay.
I have him proofread all of my really big emails that I want to send out and get my point across.
Google
You
says
know-
it's 1 word.
Google says it's 1 word. Okay.
Yes.
Now I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna take out that. Kurt's back. Yeah, I need to find a platform where I can show everybody. So I'm apologies to you, Joshua.
You guys can go ahead and I can sit off the side. I don't need to be.
Stop it.
Okay.
Stop it. Okay. So I want to do another add column here. Kurt, do I have to nest my add columns if I want to add another column?
Nope.
No?
Just do a list. Just do a parameter list. Your next after the false, you put another comma.
Okay. Like
And
We're
then
going to go with Kurt's pop-up box.
Yeah.
and then put a name, a field name. And then put a. Yep, there you go.
There we go. So we got show punchline. Okay. Now I need to click on a different screen and then come back and all that stuff for it to be there. And then when they click on this, on select, I'm going to patch this, the cold dad jokes. I'm going to say this item. And then we've got early brace.
You're going to show it in the gallery, inside the gallery. Is that where you're going to show it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we could do it both ways, but one of the main points is to do inline stuff, right? In the gallery.
Mm-hmm.
So what we could do is, I'm going to click on this thing. And then over here, what I can do for the default is say punchline. And then I'm going to make it visible based on this item, show punchline. Now, is that going to work? It doesn't seem like it is. Well, that label is definitely has disappeared on us. Show punchline. Well, what is it right now? Do we have a value here? Maybe I got to go off to the other screen and come back, have it recreated, then click on show punchline. There
we
it goes. Now, what do you guys think of that? Now, if I go in here and try to add something to this, if it loses focus, it fires that change event. And now we can say, reset that.
It reset it before you even. It didn't keep the change on there.
Yeah. Reset. Oh, there it went. Okay. What do you call a fake noodle? An impasta. I think what I want to do is if they click on a new record, let's go to on select. And what I want to do is I want to do an update if on the collection of dad jokes. Okay. And what I want to do is if the show columns is true, then I want to update show columns. No, show punchline. If that's true, then I'm going to say show punchline false. Now it doesn't like it. Where did I go wrong, Kurt? I'm doing an update if on the whole collection. I'll hover over this. Update if is an unknown. Oh, I misspelled update if.
Yeah.
So it's showing in both row 1 and 2. If I click on the third one, it's going to cover them back up. What do you call a bear without any teeth? A gummy bear.
Key.
All right. So now, okay. So by the way, guys, if you like the pop-up, what do you think? A container or a group? How do we do a pop-up, Kurt?
I would, if this was Kurt's doing this, I would have just put that up in a pop-up.
Okay. So
A container.
There you go. A container.
Oh, I'm sorry, in a container. Yeah, I said pop-up. I'm sorry. Yeah.
So if I were to go in here and set, I sort of like these blue colors. Let's go with a dark blue like this. But Kurt, I want to center this. How am I going to center this container here?
Well, you could use the TLAR method, grab that and drag it into what looks like about the middle of the screen and drop it there. That'd be a way to center it. There. Looks pretty centered
Also
there.
right mouse click.
You could do that.
You could do that. Are you satisfied with that?
I mean, for the purposes of this exercise, do you want to do a formula? Is that what you're wanting to do?
What do you guys want to do? Does that satisfy? I'm looking at the comments, guys. This is a live stream. Do you guys want to? You want to use a TLAR? What is a TLAR method, Kurt?
It's a scientific method. It's called this. That looks about right. It's highly scientific. Yeah.
Okay.
Or
So-
what we could do is we could do a user-defined function because I get tired of having to center stuff. Right?
That sounds interesting.
Sounds like a PPC video, actually, doesn't it? But yeah.
Uh-huh. Well, let's put the answer into a label. Okay, so the name of this gallery is Gallery 1. Okay. And Kurt, we can still center this with a formula for this label, because I mean, are we going to use the TLAR for that? I'm not seeing the dotted line, so maybe that would be a good use case here. Inside this, I'm going to say the gallery.selected dot punchline. Okay. We might want to have it centered horizontally and vertically. Can we do that? It's in the middle. Okay. Let's put it in the center there. And we could put some good padding in here. And then if we click on this, where's the click event? We've got an on select. Okay. So we could say patch a collection where the gallery dot selected, that's the record, and we'll say show punchline false. Now, does that work? That doesn't even look like it's centered, does it? Right now.
No, doesn't.
In fact, if we boom, oh, I don't even see it. Let's make it a tablet. Okay, this is interesting. If I turn it on its side, see, it's not centered. All right, I see Jan down here has got some good stuff.
Right. So if you want to center that based on what you're doing right there with the responsiveness, you're going to have to take your scale to fit, I think, down, right? So that way you can set it and center it based on the app dot width.
Yeah.
If you wanted to do it that way.
Okay. So we got the container here. I liked what we did yesterday in the workshop, and we created a user-defined function. And I'm sort of tempted to do that, but realize that we've got like 5 different steps to enable it, right? With all these settings to enable and disable.
Sure.
But this is looking good. So let's go to the X, and we'll say parent dot width minus self dot width divided by 2. But of course, division and multiplication happens first, so you got to use parentheses to force something to go first, right?
That's correct.
And let's copy that, and then for the Y, we're going to look at the height. Okay, now if we click on it, I was expecting it to disappear. Canvas size, window size. Okay. If I clicked on it, I was hoping that it would go away. So why isn't it going away? If we look at the on select, show punchline, false. Got any ideas for me?
Well, what have you got set in the on the visible property here of this container?
For the container,
You got to set that, don't you? The visible property.
that's true. Okay. So the label should always be visible. True. Okay. But the container is visible. Oh, okay.
Right.
What did I? Okay. So here we should have gallery1 dot selected dot show punchline. Okay, there we go. I said show punchline. Why did the tomato turn red? Because it saw the salad dressing. All right. Now, do we feel like we've covered inline editing really well here?
Up
What
to
do you
this
think?
point, unless you must start doing an inline editing with a nested gallery as well.
Yeah.
But we have done the inline editing to that point. Yeah, pretty well, I think.
Well, let's go look at our data over here. Is there anything else that we would want to? Oh, rating. I at least want to put the rating in there.
Right now, if you wanted, I was thinking we would save that rating for the nested gallery part, and then it would just be an accumulation of what people put.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I like that. What was I thinking?
And doesn't Power Apps have a stars? Don't they have stars so we can actually use the yeah.
That's exactly what I want to do.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, let's do the rating thing here. I'm gonna insert, let's see if we can find a rating control. Oh, look, there is one. I'm gonna select it, and we got 5 stars. Okay, so let's put the rating. I don't know, maybe right here. I'm gonna select this one. Show the punchline here. And maybe we could make this a little bigger. Okay. Now, whenever they click on this, on the select, okay, let's do a patch. We're going to patch the collection, and we're going to say this item, and we're going to go look at the rating. Rating. Self.value. How about that? Now, we should set up the default. What is the default? Well, it should be this item dot rating. Okay, and I should be seeing these change. This item dot rating. Because look at these ratings. We have decimal places.
Let's go look at the value of the rating. What's it holding? What's it expecting? The decimals might be messing it up.
That's true. This item dot rating. You know what, Kurt? Remember when you try to go get some data, try to put it into a collection? Dataverse doesn't always, or Power Apps doesn't always get all the data.
That's correct. Yep.
So I'm going to click on a different screen, and then I'm going to come back and see if it actually does it. Now we've got rating.
Yeah, we didn't clear collect it after you updated it. Yeah, there we have it.
So it's not giving us, like, this is 3.9. I would almost expect most of the star to be.
Well, let's go look at the control properties. Maybe there's a property for that.
Okay.
Maybe there's an app for that.
Like it.
Maybe. I don't know.
You know what I'd like to do in the tooltip is actually give it, hey, this is you see 3, but it's actually 3.9. So I'll say this item dot rating. And I sort of, I almost don't want to show the rating here. I was just doing that to troubleshoot. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
So we got 3 out of 5. I hover over it, and it's going to tell me, my cursor's in the way. It's so big.
It does.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cursor size, pointer size. You about to say something?
Can we go back over and look at the advanced properties of that? I just kind of want to see what properties are available in that. I've not really played with this before, so
yeah.
I expect everything I do to be perfect, so I don't, need a rating system.
Well, we do have a max. We could multiply. We could make it 10 stars, and then multiply that decimal so we can. But I don't know.
Yeah. Can we look at the advanced real quick to see if there's something there that does it? Maybe. Max. No, it looks like it's all whole numbers only, doesn't it? Well, Amazon does it, so.
Show value. Well, that's interesting. So it's telling me that it's going to show the value. Oh, look at that. Okay. So it's going to show the value, and see the second line says 3 out of 5.
3 out of 5. I like it.
But it's really 3.9. It's not really showing the value, is it?
It's not.
It's showing the rounded.
So
Okay,
that-
here's a question for you, Kurt, is I sort of like this. Let's round it. I know that you know round really well here. Do we just say round?
Yeah.
And then we say what, 0 decimal places?
Yep.
Okay, so look at this. So a 3.9 becomes 4. I like that.
A 4 becomes 4.
3.7 becomes 4. I like that. Let's go see a really bad joke. Is there anything that's close to a 1? All of them are either 4s or 5s.
It doesn't want to make anybody feel bad.
What do you call a bear with no teeth?
A gummy bear.
All right. I'm going to move this back up. I feel like our panelists left us here.
They got tired.
Okay. So if I click on a 1 here, I want it to patch it. Now, is that true? Yeah. We do a patch. Now, here's something, Kurt. Like if I may make this a 1, I've changed that. And in fact, if I say boom, boom, with some dots, okay, this has become edited. Like it needs to be updated. What we need is a save icon. Would you say?
Yeah.
Why is the save icon this weird square? Do you even know what that is? Like, why does that mean save?
I don't know. I was born after that, so I don't know. I wouldn't even know what that means.
We used to have floppy drives, so you don't even. You're too young for that, huh?
Yeah.
So we should be able to patch our dad joke. Come on. Dad jokes with our call dad jokes and be done with it. But it just doesn't like it, does it? There's an error in the formula. I wonder why it doesn't like this. Cannot use a non-record value in this context.
Oh, you've got add columns in there, right? Maybe.
Yeah, but
Oh,
are
so
we going to have
do
to
a
do a
drop-
remove? Are we going to have to remove stuff?
Just do a drop columns on your patch.
Okay.
So you're wanting to do drop columns and then drop the ones that you created. That's all.
Really?
Yeah.
Lou's back. Or bring Lou back. Oh, I can have more people. It just makes the screen a lot smaller. Okay, so let me see if I can fit
Or
this back
not
in.
drop. You can do a hide columns. I'm sorry, hide columns. Maybe you got to drop columns though. You might have to do a drop column.
Yeah, now I'm curious what drop columns does.
Well, it's going to remove the columns.
Okay, so I don't have to name them off. I guess I do have to name them off.
You got to name the ones that you want to drop. Yeah.
Okay, so we've got is edit. Remember what it was? Let's see. Let me
It's
go
being,
back.
is being edited. Yeah. Okay, you got it right there. Yeah.
Yeah. Snarf. That one.
Yeah. To do that join successfully, you've got to do a drop columns in it. So that's how you learn that. So, okay. So what's wrong with
Don't
it?
forget
Did
your
you put-
comma.
Yeah.
Oh.
Comma. Double.
Do they have to be in
They might
Double
have to
quotes
be
like that?
straight. You might have to put quotes in there, I think. Maybe. Yep. Seems like it, doesn't it?
hey, looks like it's gonna work. I like that.
Ta-da.
All right. So guys have what kind of value have you gotten? Have you guys learned how to do inline editing? If you're getting anything helpful out of this, a comment or even a like really helps the channel and lets people like you know this is good content. Much appreciated. What do you think?
I
You
think we
want to
should have some,
practice that edit, actually see it edit again?
Oh, you
I
want to
didn't
see
know
it
if
edit again?
I didn't, I don't know if I actually saw it save it and
Mm-hmm.
actually come back
Okay.
as the edited version.
let's see what it does.
Okay, so I'm gonna change it here. Oh, you know what? I need the code for this on visible. I'm gonna copy that code and put it right after this, so it sort of redoes it. Okay, so save. So no, it does not work.
Oh, you know why? Because if we drop the columns, it dropped the columns all the way. So what we probably need to do is have a dump those into a collection and then
But
drop
we
the
add-
columns.
But we add them back right here.
Okay.
Should be there. Why doesn't that show up? Well, the ratings are working fine. I wonder if it's going to show me the punchline. Yeah. Okay, this takes us into like another thing that we need to figure out. What's up with the joke? Okay. Let's get rid of that. Okay. So this is a text box. I wonder if we were to reset it. So I'm hitting reset. What is going on here?
What do we do? It's that save, huh?
I hope it didn't lose all of our jokes.
Oh my goodness.
Wouldn't that be a disaster? Like what would have caused that? No, we got our jokes. And we got 40 additional ones. All right.
That's unfortunate, but okay.
I'm going to click on a different screen and come back. So that's really weird. Okay. So let's give this a rating of 2. We'll hit save. Oh, and now it's fine. Okay.
It was the memory problem that we were running into. Oh my
Memory
goodness.
problem.
Well, remember how sometimes everything will just go blank on you? You know,
Okay, maybe that is it. I'm gonna click off of it and then I'm gonna hit save. And I'm expecting those dots to be there.
okay.
But the question is, on the change event, are we patching that? No, we didn't. We didn't update that.
We did not.
Okay, so we should be doing a joke and say self.text. And we should probably be able to modify the punchline as well. This guy right here. That dot text, and then we need got that. And then we put this one down here just in case that one is changed. Gotta go click on that, go to on change. Okay. I'm gonna click show punchline, and that can go in here and let's do away right now with the I'm gonna say false. Okay, show punchline, we see it here. So, and then when I try to click in it, it goes away. That's interesting. Show punchline, I click in. You know what's going on is we are saying select parent, and there's a on select event,
And it's selected. Yeah.
and it does this. So what I need to do is on this button here is on the on select. Well, we don't have a select parent there. But when I clicked on this button, yeah, we have an on select. So I'm going to take that out. And then we should be good. What do you call a fake noodle? An impasta. All right. So I'm going to put some dots in here. I'm going to put some dots in here. Of course, it's going to hide it. I think that I don't want to do that anymore. Because if we want to show one, then why hide it? We've already seen it, right? Okay. What do you call bear with no teeth? Gummy bear. But let's update it. Dot, dot, dot. Click here. Dot, dot, dot. All right. We're going to save it. Show it again. There's the dot, dot, dot. Let's change the rating to a 1 star. Save it. Okay. And it reloads it. I go back in here, show punchline. There's the dot, dot, dot. So we've effectively completed the inline editing. What do you guys think of that?
I like it.
You
I
liked
like it.
Very good.
Good job, Darren.
Now there's a difference between liking it. Like if you really, really like something, you say, I like it, Picasso.
I like it, Picasso. I like that. I'm going to use it. How's that sound?
Dang, now that's
Good.
really good.
That is true. How do you know your program's a good program, guys?
Come on, somebody answer it.
You use it.
You use it. Well, yes,
If-
very, very true.
If people are using it, that's what makes a good program.
And guys, I've got a short message for you here. It might be a minute or two, but we will be right back after this, okay? Power Apps has been the key ingredient for the hundreds of people that we've helped dominate in their organization. With this one skill, you're able to simplify processes for countless tasks like tracking leads, doing inspections, logging attendance, booking desks in a shared office, generating reports, tracking employee performance, and the list goes on. If you have a project that you need to get done, or you're an IT professional or a developer, or if you plan to eventually do some freelancing work with Microsoft Power Apps, I am literally the only person you need to accomplish your goals. Spreadsheets and all the old ways of doing things are becoming redundant, and the people who are able to build Power Apps are going to accelerate their professional career so much faster than everyone else who's okay being average. I have over 20 years experience as a software developer and have been working in Power Apps for over 3 years. We have lots of course material for you, but if you're eager to accelerate your expertise with Power Apps at a much faster pace and want to work directly with me, this is what me and my team are going to do for you. Number one, we're going to figure out exactly what projects and skills you're working on and the overall end goal. Number two, we're going to get clear on exactly what data sources are needed for your projects. If it's a particular project with a deadline, we're going to work with you to make sure that you meet that deadline. And number four, we're going to work with you to make sure that you master the platform. So not only can you finish any projects that you're currently working on, but the projects that come up in the future. And you might want to take those skills and become a freelancer in the future. If that sounds like something that you're interested in and you want to expedite the process of being able to build apps that can literally be used for years, and you want to be an important asset to your organization and any future companies you work for, click the button below and we can have a 15-minute chat about what you're needing and how we can help. All right. Kurt, do you have any burning questions?
I just want to know what everybody's going to be watching next. You know,
Pretty much, yeah. For some reason, YouTube thinks you're going to like this video next. Let's see if they're right. Or you can select this playlist, which I've selected for you based on the content you're currently watching. Guys, got to hurry. Click one of them. Otherwise, YouTube's going to autoplay some other video.